Hi everyone, it's Sherry Carroll here with Hero Arts, showing you a technique called dry embossing with die cuts. I've used the watercolor petals, which is a clear set, and I've used also my digital die cuts to create a couple layers of paper, and then I ran it through my Big Shot to create a nice embossed layered effect. So what I have here is some of the digital die cuts with the matching stamps that I'll be using for the card today. And what I've done is I've cut 3 layers of the paper, and this is on 80-pound cardstock. So for each type of flower or image that I want to do, I'm going to glue together 3 layers. And what happens is this creates almost a chipboard type thickness, and I've just used a glue stick to glue everything together. If you don't have the digital die cuts, you could certainly use our frame cuts or our stamp and die cut sets. So also what I've done is I've glued my flower here, just use my tape runner here, and I put it onto a piece of plastic so I can work on the plastic. I also have some heavy cardstock here, and this is actually a 100-pound cardstock, and I've already run this through so you can see how that embosses the flower onto the cardstock. So what I have here to get my dry embossing going is my flower on my piece of plastic. I also cut apart a mouse pad, and it's kind of a thin mouse pad. I'll be using one plate and the entire platform for my Big Shot. Next, I'll want to secure my piece of plastic and flower onto the platform, and I'm just using some remountable painter's tape, and this is great because it holds things in place but yet it peels apart really easily. So I'm just going to secure the 4 corners of this down onto my platform. I'll be working with the entire platform through this whole process, even with my stamping, so this is just kind of my base for everything. So now I have my 100-pound cardstock. You could use 80-pound cardstock or even 60-pound cardstock. And I want to show you really quick that I mounted my flower so the image sits as it will be stamped. If you reverse it, you could actually do a letterpress, but this is going to be sitting as the flower is shown on the block. Hope that makes sense. So now I'm just creating a little hinge, and I want to put this into the machine so the motion goes along with my hinge. And on top I will put my mouse pad, and this acts as a cushion so that everything can get dry embossed, and then I'll put the one plate on top. Now I can run it through my machine. It goes through really easily. And now I can show you how this looks embossed. I'll try to get it in the light. There we go. I'll be keeping everything on the platform as I do my stamping, so that way the paper behind will keep the embossed image embossed. So now I'm ready to do some stamping, and I have my stamp positioner here, and I'll be using this so that I get a perfect alignment. And what I'll do first is I want to show you when you mount your flower, since these are kind of movable, you want to make sure, because it's the digital die cut and it is made from the exact image, so I like to just flop that down and then put it to my block. I don't want the stem to bend by me placing the stamp onto the block. So flop it down on your surface, and then you can just get a perfect mount every time. So I'm just going to ink this up really quick with some wild honey. It doesn't matter what color I use at this point, and I'm going to use my stamp positioner, so I push that into the corner really well. So there's the corner, and push that in really well. Now I want to hold that in place, and next I want to just press my stamp into that corner and onto the stamp positioner. So now I have the image, and I can align this onto my embossed piece when I'm ready. So here I'm going to just clean off that ink really quick so that I can re-ink it with the colors that I want to use. So I've decided for this flower that I'll be using Wild Honey Distress ink, so I'll just kind of press this onto the blossom part, and I'm not being really careful. I just want to make sure I get the entire blossom covered, and I'm just using a little baby wipe, and I'll clean off the ink that I may have gotten onto the stem just by running that baby wipe with my finger inside and just kind of cleaning that off a little bit. Once I have that done, I can go ahead and add my peeled paint distress ink, and I'm trying to get as close up to the top of the stems as I can. but not to worry because I'm going to go back in with a couple markers. So I have our memento markers here, and I'll just add a little bit of green for a little variation of color, and I can make sure I get it at the tops of the stems. Also, I'm using one of the orange markers from our sunshine set, and I'll just be adding a little bit more depth of color to the inside of the flower. So now I'm going to align my stamp positioner transparency sheet with the embossed flower, and it's easy if you just kind of tip it up, you can see the embossing through. Once I have that lined up, I'll go ahead and place the stamp positioner holder piece in place. I want to just keep that there. Before I do my stamping, I want to mist this a little bit with water because it just is a lovely watercolor effect. So I'll get this all ready and just make sure I'm lined up once again by holding that right piece in place. Now I can get my block ready and go ahead and, sorry for my big head, that's I have to see in there. Anyway, so set that into the corner, and then you're just going to go ahead and press in place. This is why I want to do this on the platform, is that I have that paper behind so it's not smashing the embossed flower that I already have done. So it holds everything up and proper like it should be. Okay, so now here is my embossed flower. I'll try to hold this up so you can see it a little bit better. It looks gorgeous when it's embossed. Oh, love it. And once you're done with your stamping, you can go ahead and peel that off from the platform. So here's a look at my finished card. You can really see how it's embossed, and it just is such a nice soft effect. Here's another up close. So the flower just sits on top of that nice embossing, and the colors really pop through. I've also created a little message using the butter bar ink just for the bottom of the card. I want to show you real quick another variation of the technique by using one of the chairs from the Wishing You Were Here set. And this is kind of a nice masculine card, and I've just added some pattern paper along that I cut out with my stamping. And again, I did a little message at the bottom, my happy place. So I hope I've inspired you to pull out your die cuts and do some dry embossing. Thanks for watching.